SaaS R&D as a system architect. Here today to talk about some work that we've been doing in a research area called Immersive Analytics. Is there anyone here that's hearing about SaaS for the first time today? Okay, well this is us. We're headquartered in Cary. We're pretty well known in this area. In addition to my day job, I lead the youth chess sponsorship for SaaS. We sponsor the annual tournament. When I go as far as Charlotte and put the banners up, or Winston-Salem, you know, like SaaS, the company that makes shoes, the airline. Around here, we're pretty solid. We have a big presence in healthcare. It's one of our major revenue generators. We're analytics. You know, we're crunching the data. We've been doing it for 41 years. And last year, I got to work on something that showed in January for retail. And this is in the Immersive Analytics area. It's virtual reality. We did make a store. And we actually started off with the idea of doing augmented reality, the idea that you would have something, basically emulating augmented reality with virtual reality. And then as time progressed, we really leveraged more and more of just the pure virtual reality aspects. Being able to take a physical world and then overlay it. So it's augmented virtual reality. So Immersive Analytics, this is an area that was established by IEEE, multidisciplinary initiative, and it spans that space all the way from augmented reality to virtual reality. For where we are, that makes it really interesting because it's ultimately about getting analytics to perception, to the retina, in new ways. So as these new UI technologies come along, how do they fit in with our core mission? So this is how I categorize the entirety of the space. Down here at the bottom, percent of field of view available for analytics. And then the difference between the flat screens and the headsets. So Pokemon Go, for example, called augmented reality. You hold up your phone, and you see some augmentation of the reality right there. You can do the same thing with analytics. So you're in a hospital, there's a piece of equipment, you want to know something about it, you hold up a tablet or phone, and you can see what all those IoT sensors, Internet of Things sensors, are telling you about that piece of equipment without having to type in a barcode or look it up somehow. Just kind of just make it happen. Pokemon Go for analytics, very straightforward. And then you have products like Battery Smart Helmet. This is focused on the oil and gas industry. And the realization there is that there's industries out there where you have to wear a helmet. You've got to wear a hard hat anyway. So like, we'll put a computer in it, and same thing. You go around an oil rig, and it's giving you a heads up display. You don't have to hold this thing in front of you, literally heads up. I call this side right here really the pure form of augmented reality. And then you'll hear Hololens, and Hololens can definitely do that same kind of activity, but then it also can do this stuff with mixed reality. This picture right here is a very common picture. It's this idea that I wear a HoloLens and I play Minecraft on a table, and you wear a HoloLens and we're playing Minecraft together on that same table. Now, it turns out that the Minecraft part, the way that's probably getting built out is with a gaming engine like Unity. That's the one I use. There's other ones, Unreal Engine is another one. It's the same tooling, it's the same research, the same skill set to make something that sits on a table for HoloLens as a fully immersive virtual reality display like what I showed you earlier. So there's a lot of overlap between those. Now then you move on across Google Cardboard, extremely simple concept, and Samsung Gear VR is the same one. How many people have heard of these before, Samsung Gear VR? You put the phone this far from your eyes, it splits the screen, you're limited to the GPU and the CPU power of the phone. Whereas when you get the HTC Vive and Oculus Rift, you have to actually get a high-powered PC to make that work, and it's more expensive. So take a phone you already have in your pocket, you pay $100 for basically a piece of plastic, or you pay very little money for a piece of cardboard, and you're good to go. But there's nausea issues. You're at 60 hertz instead of 90 hertz. You don't have the same tracking. If you get an infrared camera with this setup, you don't have the same kind of hand controls. This is your premium experience up here. But, and then you come down and same thing, you can make this work on a flat screen. So it is a gaming engine, the idea of being able to move through a 3D world, this goes back to the 90s. This entire space here could all be made with a gaming engine. And then it's really only when you get over here when you have to actually walk around and understand, whatever analytics we're putting up your limit of the field of view. Does that make sense? So a couple cases there now. We're focused on the analytics, the concept. You look at a piece of equipment, you pop up some data in real time potentially, and I'm going to talk about a product that makes that possible from stats. But then in terms of medical uses and therapeutic uses, Cedars-Sinai has done a lot of interesting work with ear VR. You have a patient, you put them in virtual reality, and that actually helps the patient. It helps pain management, it gives them an escape. A patient, they had one example, a patient that really just wanted to sit in his living room and talk to his grandmother. They made that happen for him. They went to his house, they filmed a 360 video, and they gave the patient that experience. And the patient get these different experiences like that. Google Cardboard, there's a story that came out last year. Pediatric surgeon, he had a patient that had one lung and part of a heart, a baby. And the 3D printer was broken, so he couldn't make the 3D model that he wanted to make. So what he did instead was he just got Google Cardboard, and he was able to explore the entirety of the situation, including the placement, including the organs themselves, and was able to do successful surgery. And he attributed that success to having the VR experience. So that's kind of the whole space. And the key thing here, one other quick point. There's, in addition to HoloLens, there's a company I've been talking to called Meta, which Emerson mentioned. Different approach. They have, their price is $1,000, so less than the HoloLens. But they don't put the computer in the headset. Instead, you're tethered to a computer. But the computer could be a computer that you're like wearing in the backpack. So different approaches, wider field of view, cheaper. The other difference is they're talking to me, and then Microsoft isn't. So I break this down in terms of augmented reality, augmented virtual reality, and then data reality in terms of when we talk about analytics and making analytics happen on these devices. Augmented reality, use case really resonates. Walk up to a piece of equipment, either you've got your phone, you've got your headset, and here's what IoT sensors are telling you about that piece of equipment right now, and of course you can marry that to historical data and things like that, take action right away. Mixed reality is kind of in between. The augmented virtual reality concept is if you can augment reality, you can augment virtual reality. And then when you do that, then that virtual reality can be halfway around the world. That factory, that piece of equipment can be halfway around the world. You have an expert helping you with a problem, helping a junior person with a problem in conjunction, in real time simultaneously. And while we will call that Pokemon Go, we call that augmented reality. When you get to flat screens, applications of a virtual world, and that's not called virtual reality, that's called virtual worlds, but then those have been around for a long time. What we find is that virtual reality is weird. This whole idea of you put a headset on. I used to demo and I would put a headset on in front of a crowd and sort of talk along until one day in our executive briefing center, I took the headset off and the account representative was clearly not pleased with me. And what I've done is I just basically detached myself. I put this headset on, it's fully immersive, I'm talking along. I've detached myself from the crowd. So as a speaker, I don't actually do that anymore. I like do the thing with my head. You imagine a workplace where people are doing virtual reality. They go get their sandwich, they sit down at their desk, they do some virtual reality for a while, they take the headset off, their sandwich is gone, right? Some pranksters taking their sandwich. This whole kind of concept that you detach yourself from the world is kind of a problem. And the nausea issues as well. Now the hardware is taking care of a lot of the nausea issues, but still this idea that you go into a virtual world and you're going to walk around the virtual world, that's what gets you in trouble because your visual system says one thing, your inner ear says another thing. You can design around that, and we have. So we've now shown that prototype to hundreds of people all across the world, and we have yet to have an incident, right, where someone's actually sick. And the reason why is because we allow people to hop about the scene instead of relying solely on them doing that kind of walking motion. AR and VR can be used together. Really with the HoloLens concept, it depends on whether or not you are trying to render some complex thing or just like a little bit of data, but in either case you can use them together. The power of the VR approach, of course, is that you don't have to be physically present. Another example of using them together, here the idea is that we have streaming analytics. So this data is coming off of sensors and it's coming straight back to the display. We're a 41-year-old company. Most of our time has been spent on this idea that you land the data and then you examine it. Streaming analytics is examining the data in motion, and then doing the analytics that you can in motion. Now, of course, if you do a whole bunch of analytics and you're adding latency, but there's still, with today's computing power, there's still a lot that you can do. Reality is real time. Whether or not it's mixed reality, or virtual reality, or augmented reality, reality is real time. This is a relatively new product for SaaS, and it's only been around for about 5 years. Sort of how I'm relatively new, and I've been at SaaS for 13 years. And I still walk into rooms in R&D, in meetings in R&D, where I am the most junior person in SaaS. SaaS is stream processing. This is what does it. The data streams through, and then immediately does analytics, possibly using historical data as part of that. And through any of these new display technologies, be it a Pokemon Go analytics style, be it HoloLens, be it VR, we can then get that right back to the device. So you're getting a real-time view, augmenting whatever type of reality you want. Questions? Yeah.
When do we get the holodeck?
The future is here. We're living in the future. It's like across the whole spectrum. There's so much of that's like coming true right now. So much has been dreamed about for a long time. It's really coming true. It's just between all these different trends, between the visualization piece, between just the prevalence of all the IoT stuff, and just the massive growth in computing power, massive growth in data, the artificial intelligence. It's a very exciting time. Other questions?
How's it being made anonymous so like you don't see like people's important information or stuff like that, or record that type of information? How's that being kept secure or being kept private?
Just in general, or?
Just in general, yeah.
Yeah. It's that kind of problem is just basically a data problem. The first thing you have to do is you have to know who the users are that are looking at the data, just through authentication mechanisms. And then from there, at the lowest level, there's different techniques. For example, one thing that we've done before is you just tack on any SQL query that goes through, just gets a little additional filter, which is filtering down based on that identity. So it's authentication and then authorization. In a table view, it means just sort of dropping out tables. In a virtual reality and augmented reality view, especially when you get into the concept that you're going to be changing, you're going to be expressing data entirely new ways, then it becomes more interesting. So for example, in the slide that I showed, in this picture, first responder comes up, they're taking a view, they're seeing IoT. What is it should they actually see? Say you have somebody come into your house just to repair your smart home, and they just want to repair something. Then should they see every aspect of your IoT? And then it becomes a more interesting problem, especially how you resolve all that visually, but the concept is still the same. First off, you authenticate them, and then you figure out their authorization.
What about hacking the images?
Hacking the images?
Yeah, so I'm looking at an electronic medical record as I look at a patient. What's to prevent another individual from seeing what I'm seeing?
Well, with the HoloLens, it would be coming back through the computer, so no one else would see it because the projection is on the lens. And in some ways, it's actually safer. There would be more privacy because you move the lenses so much closer to your eye. So if I'm holding a tablet like this, then it's much more likely somebody comes up and sees it, rather than with the HoloLens where you're just not going to be able to look into the screens that I'm looking at.
And maybe one more question.
Yeah.
But it's a wireless transmission, isn't it, from the computer to the HoloLens?
Yeah, it is, and then you have to assume a level of security there, that signal is not passing in such a way that it could be intercepted. But then but with that, you're just back to the very common garden variety problem that you have with any tablet, any laptop. Because the HoloLens is the Microsoft Surface, it's just exactly that, except on your head.
So, real quick, is the HoloLens is it an endpoint or is it like a fully contained computer?
It's a fully contained computer.
That's what I thought. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, the HoloLens is fully contained, the Meta is just the headset, and then you have to connect it to a computer. But in either case, really in all these cases, and then the virtual reality stuff that I do, I actually have a big old laptop that I'll tote around with me. So in all cases, it's just a computer. It's just that you're actually, what has changed is the screen.
Gotcha.
All right, thanks very much.